Hello again and welcome to another Maya tutorial. Today I will be showing you how to make a soda can based on curves drawn in Illustrator. Alright, so pop over to Illustrator here. I already have my curves drawn, but what I did to set this up was I simply made an artboard, the height of the can. I had a physical can on my desk that I was measuring, so I set up my artboard, the height of the can, and half the width of the total can, and then I just went through and just measured it, and then with the pen tool just went and pen tooled it out. And there's two separate objects. I have a top object that'll have like the pop top tab and such on it, and then I have the body of the can itself. It's to scale because I set up my artboards. So just under 1.5 inches for half of it. I did an energy drink can, so it's taller than like just a standard Coke can. But pretty straightforward. Just using the pen tool. Okay, so I showed in an earlier video how to bring in shapes from Illustrator and bevel them and make them solid objects. But today I'm going to show you how to take curves and then revolve to get the object. So you have to do a couple things when you're saving it so it imports right. I'm just going to save as. Let's call this can outline 4. I want to make sure it's an EPS file. AIs do work sometimes, but they can be a little squirrely. EPS is safer. Hit save. You want to make sure it's Illustrator 8 or older. I prefer 8. You can do 3. Doesn't matter. It's going to say it's old file type. Just click OK. Okay, so now if I pop open to Maya, I just have a new scene here. I'm going to go File, Import. Not Create Illustrator Object. You can do it this way, but it's just as easy to go File, Import. Bring up this dialog, and you want to click on the file that you saved it as. In this case, it's can outline 4. Import. Okay, so as you can see, instead of bringing in physical polygonal objects, it brought in curves that we can use to revolve. Okay, so I believe I showed revolve earlier with curves drawn in Maya. So let's see, surfaces, revolve. Okay, so as you can see, this is really messed up and not what we want. It did it backwards and inside out, and it's triangles, and it's all sorts of nastiness. So there's a couple things you have to keep in mind when doing curves like this. For one thing, it needs to be this half the axis needs to be sitting on the midpoint of the grid. So right now it's too far to the right, so I need to move it over to the left. So I'm going to go into my front view here. I'm going to select both my objects, W key, move tool. I'm going to move it over, move it up. I'm going to center my pivot, modify center pivot, move it up. Also, it'd be nice if it was sitting on our ground plane, so I'm just going to move it up like so. I'm going to zoom in to make sure that I'm on the money. I'm a little bit off. This may seem like I'm being a bit anal about this, but it'll pay off later, because if you get a hole through the middle of this, it can be a pain to work with later. So it looks like I'm pretty good. Make sure everything looks like it's checking out. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this view. And I believe you have to revolve them one at a time. So I'm going to go Surfaces, Revolve, and this I'm going to hit a little dialog. Bring up our tool settings. Okay, we want to do a 360 degree sweep. I'm going to start at 0, so it's full circle. That's up the segments. Want to be polygons. We want it quads. Let's just do count. Let's try 1,000 and see where that gets us. Okay, so not quite. And this is because this is where our pivot point is. So if you look, our pivot point is right here in the middle. So not only do we need it here on the grid, but we also need to line up the pivot point with that. So I need to go back into my front view like this. Just take this off to the side a little bit. I'm going to hold the D key on the keyboard, or you can also press Insert, or I believe on Mac it's Home. And then you just click and drag until it's right lined up. I'm going to zoom in to make sure I'm kosher here. Okay, like so. We're going to need to do the same thing with the top. Clicking and dragging, get my pivot point in the right place. I'm going to move it down just for fun. It shouldn't matter. Okay, I'm going to hit Insert to get out of that. Go back to my perspective view, select my curve, apply. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere where we want to be. If I have to go to shaded, the poly count is okay. It's a little on the low side, not terrible, but if we're doing something production quality, if we're doing a mock-up for a product or something, if we're going to composite in a photo, it needs to be a little higher quality than this. So I'm going to undo my revolve I did. I'm going to up this count. I'm going to double it to 2,000. Let's see where that gets us. Okay, closer. We're getting there. You could probably stop here if you wanted. I'm going to push it a little higher. So I'm going to change it to 4,000. Okay, and that should be pretty good. I'm happy with that. We have nice even geometry everywhere because we did count. It wasn't trying to compensate for anything. Now we need to do it for the top as well. I'm going to lower, that's a little high for the top, so I'm going to lower the poly count to like, I don't know, 2,000. Let's see, no, not 200, 2,000. Apply that. So we get similar geometry here. Looks good. Alright. So one thing you may notice is this was also a problem in our curves we did in when we drew them in Maya. We have it's even everywhere and it looks pretty good. Well, actually, I'm gonna up it. That's not quite high enough. Now I'm looking at it closer. Just gonna undo. Come down here. Let's just go 4,000 because we need to get this lip curve over the lip. So apply that. Okay. So now we have a curve over the slip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these edges and I want to bevel these edges. So do my bevel tool. This is also in the polygon menu, edit mesh, bevel. Bring up the dialog box. Give this a try, see where that gets us. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, the way that turned out. Gives us a nice curve lip over there. We could also curve this as well. See where that gets us. Alright, so not bad. We have some nice clean geometry here that we can start mapping and putting a can label on it and other things like that. So hope this was useful and helpful, and next video I'm going to be going over how to lay out the UVs for this can so we can map the label correctly so we don't get funny distortions and other things like that. So hope to see you all there, and alright, take care.